Welcome back to Personal Productivity Using Technology with Dr. X. We are continuing Excel Chapter 2 Formulas and Functions. So we fulfilled the first set of objectives and we are continuing with some basic functions. So functions in Excel are templates of formulas. So we used formulas, simple calculations, plus, minus, divide, multiply. Now we're going to use functions that are templates of more complicated formulas. I mean, even some complicated statistical formulas are there, ready to go for you in your Excel spreadsheets, and you don't even have to do the math. By the end of this, you might even like the math. I really hope so. But definitely by the end of this, you will have multiple ways to calculate several predefined formulas and use these for your productivity. So today in this video, we will learn how to insert a function and also use the help, some basic functions that are within the sum and even more, and some basic statistical functions. So let's get started. So you already have your E02C1 GIM Excel spreadsheet in front of you. Hopefully you played around with the nice practice that you had to do for your practice with references. And now I am going to add a new worksheet and call it Fooling Around. Let's give it a nice color also. So this worksheet is going to be just fooling around with nice little functions. And what we're going to do is go to the Formulas tab, Formulas for functions that have predefined formulas. So now I'd like you to explore the first part of this tab. We looked at the formula auditing, super useful for error checking, simple calculations. Well, we've already been doing this, but you can play around a little more with this calculator. And now, but please point your attention to this first part, because the first part, or functions, is just wonderful. I mean, you just start opening these menus and it's just amazing. The AutoSum menu has got all the basic functions that you can use: sum, average, maximum, minimum. That is great statistics that anybody, science majors, accounting majors, economics majors, and every other major, psychology, English, art, will need a sum and average eventually. The financial are more for finance majors, but think about, things that you have to do, like payments of loans, like your student loan or your house loan. So all of these are complicated payment formulas that many times I have accounting or finance majors to explain to me, because I'm not very good at these things. Logical functions are just beautiful because you get a chance to look at logic. Philosophy majors can talk about these all the time, but us computer science majors also are always dealing with true, false results, zeros and ones, and also logical functions, which we're going to review during this class. Text. English majors, language majors, definitely this, you're going to find it beautiful. You can have different functionalities with text. One of my favorite ones, concatenate text, and I'll show you some tips and tricks with the text processing functions. Date. I've seen lots of arts majors using date for performances. It's a great way of calculating, of making your own customized calendar for your performances. So here we go, the date functions. Lookup and reference, everybody uses that. I mean, no matter the major, because this is like mechanical eyes that can look up for you between multiple data and give you results, and you won't have to be looking with your human eyes that may fail for a specific value, because a lookup function can do this for you. Math and trigonometry, okay, I will admit I love these things because I love math, but you're definitely gonna take a class that you will need to calculate math formulas, and you can use Excel to double check yourself. It's just beautiful. And even more functions. Statistical, I adore statistics, and scientists use statistics all the time. Engineering, we've got engineering majors, and so many more. I mean, I haven't even looked at half of them myself. So these are all the beautiful functions. I looked at the function library now. Insert function is just a wonderful way of searching for a function and also using the help on a specific function. So let's say I want to search for a function that counts, and click go. So just with a good keyword, I can get a bunch of results like similar to performing a Google search, but it's a very specialized search. It's a search for Excel functions. And usually the first function that is recommended, like your Google searches, the first one is the most relevant. And if I have no idea what this function is doing, I can use the help. And I've told you before, the help is just like a gorgeous book, a wonderful manual that can give you the description of the function, the syntax of the function, which is very useful because you have to be flexible. You have to understand what you're doing. I'm not going to teach you all the thousands of functions that Excel has got. I'm going to teach you syntax for functions, and I'm also going to teach you how to understand and use any other function you want. And what I really love with help is the examples. The examples are, I learn by example, so I really like the examples. And the nice thing is that you can download the workbook and get these examples in your own spreadsheet. So you can copy paste those numbers or download the workbook in your spreadsheet by following the instructions. So, and we will look into this even more. So I really would like you to use the help. The help is wonderful and very, very descriptive, very good. So any function that you would like to use. Let's say I would like to look if there is a function about temperature. So nothing related. A function about conversions, because I understand metric, and here we use the English. In US we use the English, but I'm from Europe, so I understand metric. So maybe this convert can make my life easier, and so on and so forth. So as you can see today, like I said, we're definitely going to use a sum function. So let's add some data now. 100, 200. Let's see if I can create a sequence of data. Let me show you a cool trick now. I want to create data, so I'm going to go to the Data tab. And the Data tab has these wonderful functions. Oh, I'm wrong. The Home tab is the one that is going to help me feel to the app or create a series. So the Home tab is the one. Sorry, I like the Data tab so much that I really wanted to go there. So let's say I want to fill the column A. So I want to create a series in the columns, a linear series that will have a step value 1. So from 100, I'm going to go to 101, 102, yada, yada, yada. And the stop value could be 1,000. And then click OK. And now this way, I really nicely generated a bunch of data. I don't even need to scroll down to look at this data because it's just great, and I have a bunch of data so that I can fool around with my basic formulas in the AutoSum menu. So you're going to apply these formulas in your wonderful GEM worksheet, but I am going to be fooling around. So I showed you now a very cool feature, the fill feature, the series fill feature, and that is super cool when you just want to generate a bunch of data and fool around. Or it might be even useful to you for an experiment. So here we are, and I'm gonna use first the sum. So I am using the sum, and I'm just using the template that already exists. So let's say I want to have the sum of a range from A1 up to A30, and a range has the starting cell, the ending cell, and a column. And this function calculates the sum of the numbers that reside from A1 up to A30. Wonderful. And if I hit enter, or if I hit the enter check box, here I am, and I have my nice, my very nice sum. So I get a little warning. This formula in this cell refers to a range that has additional numbers. Did you actually want to get all the numbers? Okay, I ignore this error because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to sum the first 30 numbers that reside in column A. So here's the deal now. What I'm gonna show you is syntax. Okay, I said I cannot possibly show you all the gorgeous functions that are in Excel, but I'm going to start explaining to you the syntax. By the end of this class, you're going to be speaking Excelish. It's a language. I promise you it's a language. Okay, it's a joke, but it's a funny joke, okay? Excelish has its own syntax, like every language has a syntax, okay? Calculations. Calculations, as you may remember, always start with equals. Functions. Functions have a name. So the summation function, the sum function, its name is sum. It's not summation or something else, it's sum. And how do I know this is the end, this is the name? I know that because right after the name, there's always a parenthesis opening in a function, and then there's a parenthesis closing. And between the parentheses, there are these gorgeous things that are called arguments. So here I only have one argument, but I could have more, comma, and another set of arguments. And I could have another comma and even more arguments. And how do I know all of these things? I'll tell you how I know all of these things. I go to the formula bar, I hit insert function, and I get this very beautiful box because in this formula bar I already had a function. So I get this beautiful box with function arguments, which is much easier to enter my arguments, and I also get help. I can also get the help on this function, and I have this beautiful syntax that tells me you can have more than one argument, comma, comma, 3 dots, meaning arguments to infinity. I can have as many arguments as I want, and I'm not limited to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 arguments, and I also get the beautiful dialog box with function arguments. Okay, fine, you proved your point, Dr. X. Let's use another one. Count numbers. So count numbers. Now I want to count numbers in the whole column. So I selected the whole column, but not the whole column has numbers. Okay, it may have 1,000 numbers because that's the series that I've created, but not the whole column A has numbers, okay? And I can prove this to you. Okay, I have 901 numbers here, and scrolling down, page down, here you go. I don't have numbers everywhere, so my beautiful count function did the job. And turning to my count, I can even go to this nice count function bar or nice count cell B2, insert function. I get my great function arguments dialog box, and furthermore, help. So now you can even use your wonderful mean, max, and average. So I can have the average of the whole column, which is not really the whole column, but only the numbers in the column, and clickety click, control tilde, that's the average of 100 plus 101 up until 1,000 and so on and so forth. So I strongly encourage you that you apply these max and minimum formulas to column A, so as you can see A, or you can even apply these to a range. So use here range. Let me give you a nice range from A30 up until A100. Find minimum, and then for this range find the maximum. So use this for your practice and apply the minimum and maximum formulas for the ranges A30 up to A100, and then do the same in order to count the whole A column and find the minimum of the whole A column and also the maximum of whole A column. So that's your practice for the end of this video. Fill in these cells B4, B5, B6, B7 with the description for the range A30 up to A100, find the minimum and the maximum, and also for the range AA, which is the whole A column, find the minimum and the maximum. And absolutely you can even play with more functions. The more functions option in the AutoSum menu brings up the insert function, so you can absolutely play with even more functions. So I get too excited with this, so I'm gonna leave you to this, do your practice, and then we'll be back with even more cool functions, logical and lookup functions for the next couple of videos. See you next time.